Batman Who Laughs, issue 5, Scott Snyder and Jock. And I believe Matt's the only one who read this because Connor ran out of
You
time.
sons of bitches.
Hey, I've not read this in issues, Matt. It's
Yeah,
only me.
I know.
I'll be there for the next issue. Don't worry. I just
It's
ran out of time.
if I didn't have Williamson waiting at the end with his book that's coming, it's almost unreadable for me. I don't care about the Batman Who Laughs. I don't care what's going on with Bruce. It's just tough. This was one of the first things I read just to get it out of the way. It's like a Band-Aid. So I'm going to have to go through it by page to be refreshed. But like in most Snyder stuff, there is stuff in here that's really good. I just don't know if this is the place for it. Because it opens with the story from Bruce telling about his dad the first time he took him on a subway, and how most in other cities, public transports are centered around the heart of the city. And the further away you get, the more expensive it is. So you have a lot of the poorest people living at the center of the city because that's just the quickest way to get around. But in Gotham, it went to the reverse, and everybody wants to come to the heart of the city because of the way. And there's this map of Gotham on the subway tokens that reminds people of all this. So, of course, this ends up being all a setup for the Batman Who Laughs plan. And Batman ends up getting out of this shootout with the cops that was left there last time by basically scaring the cops and reminding them that he knows everything about them. He knows who they are and who they are and where they live, and they still are just like, oh no, we got to take him out. They bring in like the Gotham SWAT team, and they have armor-piercing bullets. So Bruce takes some damage while using the keeper of the prison, the warden. That's that word is the warden, Bruce Wayne. And his whole suit was armor, so he uses his body as a shield, and that's how he ends up getting out. But also by removing a head, right? I think of this Bruce, and holding it up, and when he threatens them, and proclaiming he's the Batman Who Laughs. And I was just like, all right, I can't, like, what's the point of all this?
There can only be one.
Like, yeah, right. It's Highlander. And so we find out that Grim Knight has Gordon and that he basically wants him to run. So he kind of lets him get away. But all of the Robins that are there were specifically chosen by the Batman Who Laughs because they're all his son, James Jr. And that was for extra torment. So he's gonna stab him with this knife that was specifically, he designed to kill the Gordon of his world. But then the real James Jr. shows up and rescues Jim. And they end up getting back to, where the last laugh's going to happen. But before all this, the Batman Who Laughs goes to the Court of Owls to basically get some assistance, and they turn him down. And in grand fashion, they send, the smallest one makes the deals, remember, and she decides who. And now the youngest is in a wheelchair, which I think came from, did that happen in Enter the Courts? You guys have read this more. Did something happen to her in the Court of Owls or since?
I don't recall, but
Okay.
maybe.
Well, now she's in a wheelchair, and she decides that she doesn't like the cut of the jib of the Batman Who Laughs. So they bring in the Talons to take him out. Oh, but of course, Batman Who Laughs already taken care of the Talons and ripped off their arms because Batman Who Laughs, right?
Because Batman Who Laughs.
Yeah, and that he's remodeled their maze. So, basically he's turned this against them because he's the Batman Who Laughs, and kicks her off in her wheelchair into a pool of water, and then decides that he's going to take out the entire Court of Owls with a dark version of Bruce Wayne who overtook the Court of Owls as a Talon, who became the leader. So Bruce gets out with James, Gordon and James Jr. end up meeting him, and they have this big thing where you can't you can't do what he wants you to do, but that's what he wants you to do is not to do. So I have to do what he doesn't want me to do. Which at this point, I'm just confused of what the actual point is of executing the last laugh. Is this part of the Batman Who Laughs plan? Because it probably is, because he's unbeatable at this point. You know, like,
This sounds like a packed issue.
oh, it is. It's huge. It took me all my lunch hour to read it, just because I would get so bored, and I would go check my phone. Okay, I gotta get back to it. But yeah, so there's this image, there's this message from the Batman Who Laughs, who's goading him to basically that Gotham isn't what he thinks it is, and that Gotham was meant to be a weapon. It was meant to be the symbol of what is wrong in the world, and it's not meant to be the symbol of the hill that the story ties back into of what Thomas was telling Bruce as a child, that it was meant for the opposite. It was created so that the seat of Gotham would become the seat of power. It's a fortress where a newer, stronger man could be incubated, and that's what this last laugh is. And so there's an earthquake, and it looks like, or I think it's an earthquake, where all these stalactites come down on I think James Jr. But we don't know what happens to him. And Alfred's pleading, don't do it, because Batman's wearing that stupid thing. He's crying. And then he goes and activates the last laugh anyways. So yeah, I'm so mad at Williamson for announcing the story arc, because now I have to get through this.
Mm-hmm.
There's 2 left though. I guess this was 5.
And I think it's only really one issue of this story, and then one will be setting up.
Yeah.
Is this 7 issues? I thought it was only 6.
They extended it.
now.
We talked about this with the news last week.
Ruby?
Yeah, with the Williamson book that's coming, the Secret Six stuff.
Well, I mean, I guess.
It's very infuriating, because it's everything I don't like about Snyder, but then there's these bits I do like about Snyder.
And they're always in there somewhere.
Yeah, so like the thing of Gotham, and I love the research that he does. Like, he did it with the Wake too, to where there's these little bits of research you can tell that there's a thread there, and I really like that thread.
Incredible.
But it doesn't pay off, because it's gotten to the point where if Batman wins, if our Batman wins, it's going to be because of Batman.
And if he loses, it's because Batman Who Laughs.
Right, and it's a no-win scenario. It's the Bat God, and I hate the Bat God. And here it's the Bat Evil God, or the Evil Bat God, here with Batman Who Laughs. And now there's, him becoming what he hates, and I get all that, but I don't know what the right decision is. I don't know if in the story, him activating the last laugh is what the Batman Who Laughs wants him to do, or if it's what he didn't want him to do. And it's so murky. I also don't like him taking out the Court of Owls, because he's the Batman Who Laughs, and him going through and taking out the Talons before. I get it. He's seen all the different realities, but at the same time, to keep the Court of Owls as a boogeyman, I feel was effective. Like, maybe they go along with him, and that's why he was able to do all of this.
I think the other thing on Defenders, you said, you're not sure whether or not activating it is part of the plan or not.
Right, that's part of the story.
Yeah, no, I think that is based on what you said, an intentional feeling, because that seems to what Bruce is like I don't know if this is what he wants me to do or not. I don't know if this is the right thing.
Right, and that's the crux, is Bruce doesn't know, but at this point it's because Batman on both sides, whatever it's going to be, it's not going to be fulfilling, because this is not going to last. Batman's going to triumph for whatever it is. So
yeah, that's fair.
I'm wondering what the threads with James Jr. are, because is he going to regress, and is he going to be the thing that's coming out of this, the bigger threat? Because we all know that's why Snyder introduced him way back in Black Mirror, right? Is he's this greater threat of Gotham itself. So yeah, because he's a born sociopath. Like, he has no reason why he's like this. Versus you have the Batman Who Laughs, is the reason he's like this is because of the Joker toxin.
Shit went wrong. Yeah.
Yeah, and with James Jr., this is just who he is, and that's what's scary. No amount of good would ever change him. So
yeah, that's fair.
Again, there's threads in there. And the art's fine. Like, Jock does things, Batman Who Laughs is perfectly creepy, going and talking to the Court of Owls, and Jock's Court of Owls look great.
Yeah,
You know, them behind the dead masks, like.
It's rare you can complain about Jock.
Yeah. Well, again, it's not him. It's definitely
Yeah.
Snyder, and I just don't. I didn't need to see the Talons minus their arms, and I also feel like he's nerfed the Talons. Like there's this whole year set up in Batman of the Court of Owl stuff where they were these badasses that took the entire Bat family to take out and to neutralize. And here, Batman Who Laughs just rips off their arms, and now they're completely nerfed. Where I've seen Talons lose body parts and keep fighting. You know, so.
Yeah, that's fair.
I'm gonna rate it, and I'm gonna give this one a 3.5.
Oh.
Yeah.
Oh, baby.